Today, we're diving into the steam and breaking the ice on some of the biggest wellness trends out there. We're going to look past the hype and get into the real science behind the hottest and, yeah, the coldest health crazes that everyone seems to be talking about. You've seen it all over your social media feeds, right? Athletes, celebrities, everyone swearing by either scorching hot saunas or freezing cold ice baths. But what's the real story here? Is there a clear winner in this battle of the temperatures? Well, let's find out. There's actually a fancy scientific term for all this: thermotherapy. It's this idea that you can intentionally expose your body to extreme temperatures to get some major health benefits. Today, we're putting that whole idea to the test and looking at the hard evidence for both sides of the thermometer. All right, first up, let's turn up the heat. We've all heard this phrase, sweating it out, right? That a good sweat can detoxify your body. But here's the real question. Is all sweat actually created equal? So what is the difference between the sweat you get from a really tough workout, what scientists call dynamic sweating, and the sweat you get from just sitting in a hot sauna or passive sweating? A recent study decided to put this head-to-head. And wow, the results were surprisingly clear. This 2022 study actually measured the heavy metals in people's sweat under both conditions. What they found was that the concentrations of things like nickel, lead, copper, and arsenic were way higher during exercise. The bottom line is pretty direct. If your goal is to detoxify from heavy metals, a run is actually more effective than a sauna session. Okay, so why? What's actually happening in your body to make that difference? Well, it all boils down to your core temperature. When you exercise, your heart is pumping, your blood is circulating like crazy, and your core gets a lot hotter. This whole process is way more effective at pushing stuff from your blood out through your sweat. In a sauna, your core temperature only goes up a little bit, so it's just not as an efficient pump for that specific kind of detox. Okay, so the detox claim for saunas is a little shaky. But what about the other huge promise we always hear? That they can calm your mind and boost your mood. Well, the science here tells a totally different and pretty interesting story. And this is where things get fascinating. A study tracked people who were new to using saunas for 4 weeks. And for depression, the results were really striking. Just look at that steady, significant drop from where they started. This suggests there's a real impact on mood happening here. And it wasn't just depression. The study found the exact same pattern for anxiety, a consistent downward trend over those 4 weeks. So at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, this is a clear win for the mental health benefits of saunas, right? Well, not so fast, because here is the twist. The researchers also measured vitality, which is basically just people's energy levels. And completely the opposite of what you'd expect, vitality scores also went down. The very same people who were feeling less anxious were also reporting that they felt less energetic. So what on earth is going on here? Are saunas draining our energy? The study's authors think it's more about relaxation. I mean, think about it. A hot bath doesn't usually get you amped up, right? It makes you feel sleepy. The evidence suggests saunas work in a very similar way, promoting relaxation so much that it actually lowers how much energy you feel you have. So it's less of a pre-workout boost and much more of a pre-sleep wind down. All right, we've sweated it out. Now it's time to take the plunge into the other side of this whole wellness world. Cold exposure. Ice baths and cold plunges are massively popular right now. But you know what? The science is in a very, very different place. And here's the hard truth. Despite all the confident claims you see all over the internet, the science on this just isn't there yet. The research community is nowhere near a consensus, and we really just don't have the high-quality evidence to know for sure what the mental health benefits are. This slide shows you just how early in the game we are. The source material for this whole section isn't even a finished study. It's a protocol for a review. That means researchers have only published their plan for how they're going to analyze the evidence. In other words, they're still at the starting line. This table gives you a little peek into just how detailed this process is. Researchers have to define everything, from who they're going to study to what even counts as a cold plunge. This level of detail is absolutely necessary because all the existing research is so fragmented and inconsistent. It's a huge job to sort it all out. And they face some massive challenges. I mean, just think about it. How do you give someone a placebo ice bath? You can't. You know if you're getting in cold water. Plus, every study does it differently. Different temperatures, different amounts of time. Most of the research we do have is on elite athletes, which doesn't tell us much about everybody else.
And of course, because people expect to feel amazing, that can totally bias how they report their own results.
Okay, we've explored the heat, we've explored the cold, we've waded through the hype and the evidence. Let's try to distill all of this down into a clear takeaway.
So let's just recap the 3 key points. First, if you're talking about detoxing heavy metals, exercise is scientifically more effective than a sauna. Second, saunas seem genuinely helpful for anxiety and depression, but think of them as a relaxation tool, not an energy booster. And finally, the science on cold plunges for mental health, it's still a work in progress, big time.
So the main point here isn't to declare a hot or cold as the winner. It's about understanding that these are different methods with different, specific outcomes, and our scientific understanding of them is still evolving.
And that leaves us with one last thought. Maybe the question we should be asking isn't which one is better, but instead, what am I actually trying to achieve? Are you looking to relax before bed, or are you trying to sweat out toxins after a workout? Understanding your own goal is really the first step to making an evidence-based choice that's right for you. Thanks for watching.